talk about the housekeeping. We will begin shortly. Give us 1 or 2 minutes. For the best audio output, please use your headphone. You may want to switch off your video in case you experience bandwidth issues. And you can type questions on the comment box in the Zoom and chat box in the Zoom and comment box in the Facebook. So we will get question from both Zoom and Facebook, and there will be a question answer session. We will answer the questions. So check out the links to resource posted in the chat box. Good evening once again, and we are presenting the hallmarks of US education, a series of webinars which started on June 9, and today is the fourth one. We had already three sessions on June 9, June 16, and June 23. And today our session is on wonders of US graduate studies, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. Before I proceed on the topic, let me talk a little bit about Education USA. Most of you are aware about Education USA, but still there are some new comers who may not be aware about Education USA. So we are a US Department of State network under the US government, and it is a worldwide network around 175 countries, and there are more than 425 advising centers. So it's a large network around the globe, and most important that we provide accurate, comprehensive, and current information about US higher education, about US universities and colleges. The most important thing is that as Education USA advising centers, we give unbiased information about all accredited universities and colleges. So you will get information about all accredited universities and colleges which can confer a valid degree. In India, we have 8 centers in 7 cities, across 7 cities. We have centers in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and New Delhi. We have recently the 8th center in Hyderabad. Actually, Hyderabad has 2 Education USA advising centers. All other cities has 1 center. So my name is Sudarshan Saha. I am from the Kolkata center. And you can get the contact information of all centers in the globe from educationusa.state.gov. And we always encourage all students to attend our basic orientation session or your 5 steps to US study. And this 5 steps to US study provide you comprehensive information about the entire application process. So if you have not yet attended this session, I will strongly encourage you to attend one of these sessions, and we offer this session every day, Monday to Friday. There are 2 timings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday during 3:30 to 4:30, and Thursday and Tuesday and Thursday is from 11:30 to 12:30. So I will strongly encourage you to attend one of our 5-step sessions, which will give you comprehensive information starting from the selecting colleges up to your depart for the US. About Education USA, we provide various kind of services. So if you're not getting any updates from our centers regularly, I will encourage you to sign up for the updates on the Education USA sign up sheet, and you can get the list of webinars, seminars from our website. The calendar is posted on the USIF website. You can note down the seminars and webinars and can attend. We have a toll-free number. You can contact us Monday to Friday and ask any quick questions, and our advisor will be happy to answer the questions. We have free virtual Ask an Advisor sessions during the office hours. We also have Ask an Advisor virtual sessions after office hours. We call extended hours. So if you are unable to join with us during the office hour, you can ask questions any advisors during the Ask an Advisor extended hours. We have Monday to Friday from 5 to 7 and on Saturday 10 to 12. In addition, we have free virtual specialized information sessions on admissions and specialized process with US University representative. And this is, and today's session is a specialized one that we will be attending today. And I finally have individual advising membership. So you can take a membership to get individual advising, talk to our advisor one to one, and get assistance during your application process. We have Education University in the mobile app. I will strongly encourage you to download the app on your mobile phone and get the updates regularly on your smartphone, either Apple phone or any kind of smartphone. And we generally keep recording of all important webinars and seminars on the Education University YouTube channel. You are encouraged to use the Education University YouTube channel and watch the past video. You will get lots of information from the past webinars and seminars that we conducted in 1 or 2 years. Now, I'm coming to the topic that we are going to discuss today, wonders of US graduate studies, multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. So before we proceed and share the platform with our presenters from three universities, let me little bit talk about difference between the multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. Many of you know about multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and others may not be much aware about that. Multidisciplinary is generally where multiple people from different disciplines work together to solve a common problem. And environmental studies is one of them. In environmental studies, you will find many disciplines like biology, chemistry, engineering, physics, geology, anthropology, statistics, economics, sociology. Almost all fields are merged with environmental studies, which is a multidisciplinary field. Then interdisciplinary is where you see individuals work on multiple disciplines and integrate knowledge to solve specific issue or problem. For example, material science and engineering is an interdisciplinary field. Biomedical engineering, or you may know as bioengineering, is also an interdisciplinary field. Let me also tell about my two former advisors who are currently pursuing PhD studies in the US. One of them is Milagro Bhattacharya, a PhD student in the School of Information, University of Texas, Austin. And Milagro is pursuing a research combining multiple disciplines like computer science, information science, human-computer interaction, and educational psychology. So if you look at the infographics on the right, it talks about the human-computer interaction and what are the fields it's linked with. So this is also an interdisciplinary field. Another student, Rahul Das, who is also a PhD student in computer science at the University of Miami. Rahul is doing an interdisciplinary research combining three different applications: sociology, law, criminal justice, and robotics and healthcare. So it's a completely different kind of disciplines are merged and interdisciplinary research are done in the US universities. I will not take much more time. Let me introduce our presenters for these two sessions. We are very lucky to have three presenters with us. Dr. Jared Aclair from the Northeastern University, Boston, which is a private research university. Dr. Jared Aclair is currently the Associate Dean of Professional Program and Graduate Affairs in the College of Science, and Associate Teaching Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology. In addition, Dr. Aclair is the Director of the Biopharmaceutical Analysis Laboratory. We have with us Dr. Robert J. Dworksen from the University of Mississippi. This is a public research university, and Dr. Dworksen is the Associate Dean of the Graduate School, University of Mississippi, Professor of Medicinal Chemistry, Department of Biomolecular Science, Research Professor at the Research Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences. And finally, we have one admission expert, Mr. Pablo Torres from the University of New Mexico, which is also a public research university. Dr. Torres is the Director of International Recruitment and Admissions, as well as Associate Director of Global Education Office at the University of New Mexico. So I will now hand over the platform to Dr. Jared Auclair. Dr. Auclair, please take the platform and share your screen and start your presentation. You're welcome.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hopefully you can see my screen. If not, somebody just chat at me or tell me you can't. And I will go ahead and start.
We can see your screen.
Great. Um, so I just wanted to start. I always like to start with a little picture of Northeastern University in the heart of Boston in Massachusetts in the US. Um, it's a urban campus in the middle of the city, but has some pockets of suburbia feel. So this is one of the main buildings around the campus with a common area where the students can congregate and talk and do all those good things. So we'll skip this. I just want to give you a few highlights on Northeastern and a few on myself. Like it was mentioned, I'm the Associate Dean of Professional Programs and Graduate Affairs. I teach in the chemistry department and do a couple of other things. And previously I was the director of the Bioinformatics and Biotechnology Master's Program in the College of Science. Now I oversee those programs, but all master's programs. So I'll give you a flavor for all of our programs at Northeastern's College of Science this morning. And I can comment a little bit on the other programs in the university. So what about the College of Science excites me the most? It's a rigorous and innovative scientific, we provide a rigorous and innovative scientific education. Experiential learning is at the core of what we do. Everything we believe in is learning-based, learning by doing sort of programs. We have campuses in Boston and Portland and online, Portland, Maine and online and around the world. We are an R1 research university with 15 interdisciplinary research centers and institutes where students can interact and get experience. There's more than 137 active labs and 200 plus faculty. Of course, I'll talk to you today about our graduate certificates, master's programs, and PhD programs in the College of Science. We have over 1,000 graduate students in 50 countries currently represented, and it's a great environment for learning by doing and interaction with partners and others. We also promote a culture of respect at the College of Science. It's a college-wide focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. The first college we are the first college at Northeastern to have an associate dean for equity, Randall Hughes. There are graduate student leadership at the college level and department level for equity, diversity, and inclusion. We have a commitment to expanding our graduate programs with a focus on enhancing representation of students from marginalized groups, as well as workshops for faculty and staff and students on topics such as anti-racism and mental health being one of those super important to me, as it's sort of the hidden, or oftentimes you can't see it, right? So we focus on all of those things. So why consider the College of Science for your professional degrees or your graduate programs? We know more than ever. Science and technology are essential skills that we need to promote for the economy of the future. What that means is we at Northeastern promote and are training the next generation of scientists based on bioinnovation and the bioeconomy, focusing on technical skills, interpersonal skills, how to work within a company environment, and all of those things. We also have business courses that we teach, or not business courses, but the business of biotech, for example, is something that we focus on. And education in science is powerful and will poise you for a top career. Science training is really focused on problem solving and critical thinking, and that's one of the main focuses of all of our degrees. Like I've already mentioned, experiential learning opportunities on campus and around the country and globe are at the core of what we do. Our co-op program in Science by Doing. Our programs are interdisciplinary. So we teach the technical skills, we teach the business of biotech, we teach data, how to handle large data sets in science, we teach how to consider regulatory science when looking at drug approvals. So we try to give you a holistic approach and view of what's happening. STEM master's programs are eligible for 24-month STEM extension for your OPT, so up to 36 months. And on average, our graduates are 95% of them are employed after graduation from our programs, and 51% of those are at the co-op companies that they worked at. We have an amazing graduate admissions and student services department, which is our one-stop shop for all graduate student services, from point of inquiry through commencement. We connect students to resources and services on campus. Our job is to help you. We're here to help you be successful. They handle orientation and commencement. They have a monthly newsletter that's informative and fun. Work hard, play hard is my philosophy. And they are your CVIS contacts. So I've mentioned experiential learning a few times in co-op. What does that mean? From a university, Northeastern University perspective, it's a little different. We expect students to interview and get co-ops, but we do it in a facilitated way. We have an internal job board where companies post jobs and can interact with our students exclusively. We have co-op faculty who help get you ready, resume building, interview skills, all that great stuff. And it's a great way to get a head start on the process. And then they help you throughout the whole entire process as you're interviewing and tracking you and making sure you're successful. The co-op is a required part of the master's in bioinformatics and biotechnology. It's optional in our other large master's programs or big master's programs: applied math, operations research, and environmental science and policy. We have 3 dedicated co-op advisors, which I mentioned, who help facilitate these interactions and remain active in communication with the companies. And co-op positions are typically paid between $15 and $30 an hour. So you would go on co-op, take no classes, and be an actual employee of the company at that time. Here are a couple of the experiential learning partners that we have. We're a leader in this space, and others do it. So I'm not saying that. We have high caliber students. We have relationships with over actually 3,500 public and private sector employers in the science space. These are some of them, some of the ones that you probably have heard of: Novartis, Sanofi, others like the Broad Institute, even the medical schools around us, Harvard Medical School and others. So the list is huge, and any place we'll take co-op students can go any place that there's an opportunity. It's not limited to any of these companies. The graduate student experience is as important as everything else that we do, ensuring that students are heard and supported. So we have a graduate student council. We have graduate ambassador programs. We, of course, encourage departmental social events and interactions, building community. We have an Alliance for Diversity in Science and Engineering, and a wonderful and active Graduate Women in Science and Engineering group. So let's talk a little bit about our some of our programs. We have PhD programs at Northeastern and in generally in the sciences. PhD programs are tuition free, so there's no tuition, or the tuition is covered by the department, the college, or the faculty that you're working for, and you're paid a stipend for that program, or to be a PhD student in our programs. We have PhDs in biology, math, marine environmental science, chemistry, physics, and psychology. I'll talk about the connected PhD in a moment, so I skipped that on purpose. So you can read through the faculty profiles on our website to learn more about the specific research, but it ranges from things pure math related to how you apply math in different scenarios and statistics, what you do with a biology degree, and maybe understanding metabolites of human nature, right? Some programs ask that you identify faculty members you would be interested in working with for your PhD, so good to look at those pages first. And you can reach out to me or the departments for more information. The GRE is currently not required, although that might change. All PhD programs only have fall entry, and this is the website here. The Connected PhD is a really exciting PhD program that we kicked off last year that is really meant to give students the opportunity to take traditional technical classes, but classes in leadership, and also to sort of do PhD level co-ops where they're working with companies and doing other things to gain experience. So really excited about that. And being able to integrate students into work, right? I think one of the goals of the Connected PhD program, which is not a traditional PhD program, is really to prepare students to go work in industry and get jobs in industry and have experiences in industry before they do that, and not solely focus on training PhD students like I was trained to sort of be to go off and do an academic career, right? So I think, you know, this Connected PhD program is really a first step in driving PhDs to be industries driven. So I'm really excited about that and happy to talk more about that at any time. We have several master's programs. For the master's applications, the GRE is not required and won't be required. There's rolling admission for the master's program, so you could apply anytime up until the deadline, and then you can apply after the deadline for the next year. And most of our programs are fully online. The Masters of Bioinformatics and Masters in Biotechnology, Masters in Masters in Environmental Science and Policy, as well as the Masters in Applied Mathematics are our 4 large master's programs where we prepare students for industry, and that's those are both. All of those are programs that take advantage of training you on the technical skills, as well as how to function in the company, the soft skills or power skills as we call them, as well as a whole host of other considerations in biotech, for example, regulatory data and other things. So really we're preparing you to be well-rounded. They have co-ops, like I mentioned before, so you can get experience, and we try to build those experiences into the programs. Actually, we're excited this fall to launch a new master's program, the Masters in Biotechnology Experiential. This is a new program where companies are going to be actively engaged in the educational process for these students by giving students projects to work on throughout the 2 semesters that the program is, sort of building up on them as you go along until the summer semester where you can do a co-op, hopefully with one of those companies. So it's a talent development pipeline for the company, and they're getting to train you while you're getting your master's degree and hopefully then hire you. It's a 1-year accelerated program, so it's considerably cheaper than a traditional 2-year program, and you get into the workforce a year sooner. And that program is open to international students. The deadline for this fall is passed, but we're accepting applications for the spring semester and to really integrate industry into our academic offering, which I'm super excited about because, like everything else we're doing, the goal of the university is to prepare students to be successful in their careers. We also have a number of graduate certificates that you could do while you were here. These are short programs that are usually 4 classes and have a specific expertise that they focus on, and they could be stacked into a master's program. They're harder to do if you're international, but can be done if you take if you take all the classes at once, essentially, and then they can be stacked into a master. So it's a good way to test out and see whether you want to get a full master's or not. And some of these you can do remotely from your home country, so that's a great opportunity as well to test it out. Take 4 classes in the biotechnology certificate, get that certificate and say, okay, I really enjoyed it. I love the education Northeastern provided. I'm going to go ahead and apply for the master's program and transfer all those credits in. And then you have, a third of the program already or quarter of the program already done before you've enrolled. So just some admission deadlines for Northeastern. Master's degree and certificates for international students is June 1st, which has gone by. But for spring, it's October 1st, so you can apply for the spring now. For PhD, the priority deadline is December 1st, and rolling admissions until March 15th. So that's still coming for academic year 2022. So here's the email address for grads cost admissions if you have questions, and also my email address will be shared with you, and please shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer questions, and I can answer questions whenever, and I'm excited to continue the conversation and hopefully have you join us at Northeastern in the coming year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jared.
I'm sorry, my microphone was muted. I beg your pardon. I have noted a few things from the College of Science from Northeastern University. It provides interdisciplinary curriculum. 95% students get employed, and they have very good co-op programs. And Northeastern is particularly very much famous for co-op program, and students get lots of professional experience by attending co-op programs. And for PhD applicant, please connect with the faculty in the departments. If you want to apply for PhD program, you have to identify faculty. And most important thing is that at the Northeastern University for Masters and PhD program, you do not require GRE. Dr. Robert Drepshan, are you online? Could you kindly switch on your camera and share your screen?
Yes, hi. Hello, everybody. I'll just get my screen share set up. So we have 15 minutes, is that right?
Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes, it will be fine.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. It's really great to be able to speak to you today. And thank you very much for the invitation to our hosts. I am the Associate Dean of the Graduate School at the University of Mississippi. So let me tell you about the University of Mississippi and all of our graduate programs and opportunities. And I'll mention a little bit about some students that we've had from India. So as you can see from my listing on this page here, I also am a professor of medicinal chemistry in the Department of Biomolecular Sciences in the School of Pharmacy. So my full-time work is really working with graduate students, trying to help explain to people the value of graduate education. So if anybody is interested, please contact me. I'm always interested to chat with people who are considering which graduate school would be best for them, which options or which degrees would be of value. And then also we're working with our current students to try and help them to excel, graduate, and be successful in their career. So it's been my pleasure to work in this university. Now, if you look at this picture, what do you see? This is a so-called pre-COVID picture of our university campus. So one of the things that the University of Mississippi is most famous for is this Walk of Champions. Think of yourself, could you arrive here, walk along this path, and then imagine several years down the road having your picture taken by this Walk of Champions as you move along your path towards success in life. Here we often focus on the game of American football. This is a big crowd of people getting ready, and you might see along the central path there, the actual football players with their red backpacks, all getting ready for the football game. So think of the challenge of entering the arena, trying to defeat the enemy. And so similarly, you're facing a big competition in the world. How can you best move ahead with your education in order to succeed? So part of that is being willing to take a step. In this area of our campus, it's right very central. Mostly it's empty. There's lots of open and grassy space for relaxation or picnic. But these few, several weekends a year, it becomes very popular and crowded. So at the University of Mississippi Graduate School, we have currently more than 2,300 master's and doctoral students. And here's just a single picture of a lab, but we do have more than 140 different graduate programs, and a number of them have a multidisciplinary aspect to them. So I'll mention a few of our programs that may be of interest to you during today's presentation. Now, also, I wanted to point out to you our website. So let me just exit out of the PowerPoint short for a little while, and I'll show you a different screen share for my web browser. Just take a second to switch over. And then I'll switch back to this one a bit later. Yeah, so if you look over here, this is just one example. That picture I showed you is of the Department of Pharmaceutics and Drug Delivery. It happens to be one of our departments that has a significant number of students from India, regularly among the most popular for graduate students from India. So I'll mention a little bit more about it. And there you can see a picture of the faculty. So if you go to this website, the University of Mississippi Graduate School, then you'll find out about it. This is the view right out my window of our main campus. Our building, our university traces back to 1848. And we are also a Research One institution in the United States and the so-called flagship university of our state. The state of Mississippi, one of 50 in the United States. This is the original university and the main one. So if you're interested in this university, you should click on Prospective Student, and you'll see a series of videos that we've prepared, which can help to introduce you to the university. So I urge you to take a look over there and try learning a bit more about the story of our university and seeing some actual examples, such as particular students and their experience with life here at our university. You can see some student conversations and testimonials, including some international students over on one of the tabs. So I won't show you the whole video, but I'll just show you that it's in. So I'll just show you the very brief start, and that's for you to watch in your own time. So now let's go back over to our my PowerPoint. So I'll just switch my share again. So you'll find on our website, you may be interested to apply right away to our university. It's very easy to fill out the application. We have staff available using our email or phoning our office to assist you. But if you're not yet ready to apply, I encourage you to fill out a little inquiry form like this, which is available on our website, and you can then give us your information. You can get specific information that will be helpful to you as you consider your program of interest. And then it's always best, no matter which graduate school you're thinking about, to try communicating with the graduate program coordinator of that program, to ask them information, to introduce yourself. And then during the application process, don't merely apply, but also communicate back with them if you have some new developments in your preparation. It's very challenging to gain admission to a very top program in the United States, but it's so valuable and worthwhile that you should be continually working on your preparation, such as if you finished a degree, you may want to do jobs that will help prepare you or even just give you further insight into which graduate degree of a further nature would be helpful for you. And along the way, you may be able to gain a good letter of reference and also perhaps publish some results which will be helpful in helping you to stand out among the crowd of people who may be interested to apply for our most competitive programs. So here's an example of a multidisciplinary program that's been very popular at our university. So the funny thing is that over the years, we have certain departments which are small. And so then the administration decides, okay, let's combine this together. So you have a department of sociology, a department of anthropology. So for convenience, we make a department of sociology and anthropology, and they have their own master's programs. But sometimes what that can do is to create sort of cross-pollination, and it ends up becoming an opportunity for further education. So at our university, we have a department called Nutrition and Hospitality Management. Those are separate disciplines, but our university, we have a joint PhD program. It's just started about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's become very popular and effective at educating a new kind of students. So think about the idea of nutrition. It can play over into the fields of helping athletes to be ready for the Olympics coming up, or helping school children. Think of the great poverty in many parts of the world and how important government supplying of healthy meals to the children can be. And so, for example, what is the role to be played of having fresh local fruit and vegetables in such a government supplied diet? This is the type of program that our students are studying, not only here at the University of Mississippi and for the state of Mississippi, but even for international educational opportunities, such as in the country of Belize. Meanwhile, the topic of hospitality management is, you might say, completely separate discipline, learning how to organize e-sporting events to make them successful and profitable for the community, as well as making an exciting, challenging competition for the competitors, or how to run a hotel in an efficient manner. Well, there's a lot of overlap between nutrition and hospitality management, and so that's why we have this joint type of PhD program. We also have master's programs, such as in food and nutrition services. So I'll show you just one example of a student from our PhD program in nutrition and hospitality management. And I mentioned the examples I've chosen are from people from India, because I think you might be able to relate. I know that you may not relate to everybody that you meet from your home country, but it's interesting to gain inspiration, I think, from examples. So Kritika Gupta is one of our current students, and she's a true star. Not only is she involved in her own PhD program, this year she's live tweeting once a week, reporting on what it's like for her as a PhD student. So I encourage you to look for her and follow her on Twitter. She's also working on our graduate school's advisory board regarding mental health and wellness for graduate students. She's very passionate about the ways to improve opportunities and to make the graduate school experience better for our graduate students. You can see she's a doctoral student in the department I mentioned. She got her bachelor's degree and master's degree in nutrition and dietetics at the universities I mentioned at the bottom there, Punjab Agricultural and Lovely Professional. And then, through the complicated and challenging application process, she was able to gain admission and gain financial support for her degree. You may have heard of TEDx. We have a type of TED Talk opportunity at our university each year, and she was one of the winners and has had her research topic recorded, and you should be able to also find that on the internet. And she is a winner of prizes not only before at her previous education, but here at our university too. So here are a couple of other pictures of our graduate students in nutrition research at the University of Mississippi. As they've won prizes such as in our 3-minute thesis competition and annual adventure for graduate students, to see if they are, in a very short, concise way, able to explain what's really of interest and of value in their research, such as on food security, or what type of nutrition will help after a terrible injury, such as a concussion. Another department that is multidisciplinary and is very outstanding for graduate studies is our Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Those are, again, sort of related disciplines. In some universities, they may be separate. We have both master's degrees and PhD degrees. Typically, the students receive funding because they either work as teaching assistants, helping with the undergraduate laboratory students, or they are working on research assistantships. We have a very active set of researchers, many of whom I work with myself. You can see some of the cover images of science research that's been published. Remember, if you're thinking to go into a technical subject, try to go with a professor who will be has a high probability of helping you to be successful, and with the university where it will be challenging, but think about your own abilities and avoid taking on a university that is perhaps just trying to weed you out along the way. At our university, we focus on trying to nurture and develop the capabilities of any of the students that we accept so that they can be successful in their career. Let me continue on to a couple of other subjects. So we have a Department of Biology that has often focused on whole organism studies, such as the sharks that you see at the bottom there. And these days also are doing a lot of molecular studies of various kinds. They're actively recruiting graduate students who would be delighted to see your application. We have a physics and astronomy department. There's a picture of the building there, and they're doing a lot of exciting research, including at their observatory. But also, I wanted to mention about a special National Center for Physical Acoustics. Acoustics, or studying sound, might not be something that you've thought about before, but that's an example of a discipline that cuts across various subjects, such as engineering and physics. So we have an exciting set of research opportunities there, including the idea of molecular tweezers, where you can use acoustics to control tiny droplets, which might be useful for drug delivery. And this is one of those chambers where you can study, it's called the opposite of an echo chamber, where there's no echo. So you can see that on our campus as well. Another great center we have is the United States' only National Center for Natural Products Research. In this type of center, we look at a plant that's very famous for natural benefits, such as the cannabis sativa plant that's shown there growing right on our university campus. So for more than 50 years, we have been studying the properties of medicinal plants such as the cannabis plant, and a wide variety of others. We have a medicinal plant garden, and then there are many researchers working together. And so there are great opportunities for well over 100 graduate students to study in our School of Pharmacy. I'll give you a couple of examples. Here's the building, which is right by that crowded field that I showed you in an earlier picture, our Natural Products Center. An example of research that goes on there, we have funding from the US Food and Drug Administration to study about the dietary supplements. What ingredients do they actually have? Do they have a lot of contaminants in there? How exactly do they have their effect? And another interesting activity we have each year is the Oxford International Conference on the Science of Botanicals. Many people from India, China, and other countries come for our annual conference. So we can study about things such as the harmful effects that these dietary supplements might cause, and whether the active ingredients that are supposedly in there really are there. One of the most popular programs at our university for students from India is the master's and PhD programs in the Department of Pharmaceutics and Drug Delivery. Here, the focus is on trying to find optimal ways to have a drug administered to a human such that it will have its maximal effect while minimizing its side effects or toxic effects. So you can look about our program and you'll see that it's these master's programs, in particular, the one with an emphasis in industrial pharmacy, are really preparing students very well for work in industry or eventual work in getting a PhD and getting into academia. And then my own home department, Department of Biomolecular Sciences, is the classic multidisciplinary one where we include subjects such as environmental toxicology, pharmacology, pharmacognosy, or the studying of natural products, and then my home discipline of medicinal chemistry, all in one department so that the students can become experts in a particular field, but also generally knowledgeable about all of those fields. I'll give you another example of a real student who's been here. If you look at the upper right, you can see Dr. Prasanna Sivaprakasam. He was my first PhD student starting in 2004. There's a picture of him while he was a PhD student. And then I'll show you an example of his research, which I won't talk about the details, but notice that we published this paper together with an undergraduate student named Perry Tasso back in 2009. Prasanna got his PhD and immediately was hired as a research scientist with the famous pharmaceutical company Bristol Myers Squibb to do the same kind of research that he was doing in his PhD program at the University of Mississippi. He's turned out to be very well trained, wildly successful at his performance. I was checking yesterday, he's had well over 100 patents in his career. And now he's currently a computational medicinal chemist and scientific leader at GlaxoSmithKline in New Jersey. He just moved there within the past year after, as part of his career success. So here's a picture of his LinkedIn. You're welcome to try and contact with him and ask him about his experiences. And then, meanwhile, an undergraduate who worked with me is now a senior manager at US Pharmacopoeia. You can see him pictured there. So at University of Mississippi, we have many hundred international students out of our total population of about 20,000. We're basically a small town with a relatively large university in this town. The population of our town called Oxford is just about the same as the population of students, about 20,000 each. India is the #1 student in terms of applications for graduate school, as well as for enrolled graduate students, with approximately just under 100 graduate students at a time at our university. So I welcome later any questions you have, and thank you very much for your attention regarding the graduate school and the great opportunities we have at the University of Mississippi.
Thank you, Dr. Dakshans, for the excellent presentation. You have talked about so many important graduate departments at the University of Mississippi. I found one very important program, that is PhD in Nutrition and Hospitality Management. And there are very few universities offer PhD program in such field. So students who are interested to pursue PhD in Nutrition and Hospitality Management, probably University of Mississippi will be a good destination for them. And also, I need to do some more research, going to your website about dietary supplements research going on in so that I can advise my students, future students, to check about your website about this program. So with this, we will now move to our next presenters. Mr. Pablo Torres, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Torres. And if you can share the screen, and the platform is yours now.
Excellent. Well, hopefully you can see this.
Yes, yes.
Good evening to you all. My name is Pablo, like Picasso. I work at the University of New Mexico. I'm the Director of International Admissions and Recruitment here at the University of New Mexico, as well as Associate Director of the Global Education Office. The Global Education Office is essentially the home office for all things international at the University of New Mexico. Now, the University of New Mexico is the main public research university for the state of New Mexico. Our name, it's similar to the country of Mexico, but we are actually part of the US. New Mexico versus Mexico is a state located in the southwest region of the US. We're located essentially between Texas and California in the Rocky Mountain region. We enjoy 310 days of sunshine per year, very unique cultural environments. This picture here is a picture of the main university library. There are 7 libraries at the University of New Mexico campus. This is the main historic library. You'll see that architectural style throughout the campus. It's quite common in the state of New Mexico to see architecture that looks like that. So it's quite unique, and it's a beautiful place to live and study. And the university has approximately 25,000 students. 1,500 are international students who come from 100 different countries. And we are located in the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico. You've probably seen Albuquerque, maybe didn't realize it on some TV shows or movies. There are a lot of film and TV shows produced here in New Mexico, in and around Albuquerque in particular. It's a very popular place because we have lots of sunshine, so they can have consistent film shots. These are some images of the city. There's a river that runs right through the middle of Albuquerque where you can actually kayak many months of the year. And there's a ski area at the other side of that mountain that's pictured there, part of the Rocky Mountain chain, which runs through the western kind of central part of the US. It's a beautiful city. We have about 500,000 people that live in Albuquerque. The university is located right in the center of the city on the historic main street. And so students often live in and around the university campus. So it's a very lively area to be in the university area of Albuquerque. You will meet students there from all over, and plenty of housing and entertainment options for students who live there. Now let's move into what you're probably interested in, which is some information about the programs available at the University of New Mexico for interdisciplinary study. There we go. So the University of New Mexico is classified as an R1 research university. There are 71 master's programs and 37 doctoral programs available where you can earn degrees. The university engages in a lot of research, approximately $310 million in research and grants in the past year. So that's about a yearly average of how much money is spent in research and grant efforts at the University of New Mexico. We've been ranked a top 100 public university, number 95 public university in the US, which we are quite proud of. We are proud of being a public university. Because of that, we have healthy support from our state government, which supports us to give lower tuition at both the in-state and out-of-state rates. We have an in-state tuition rate, which is for students from the state of New Mexico, and we have an out-of-state tuition rate, which is for students from out-of-state or other countries. Because of the support from the state, we're able to keep those costs low. And we are also able to give out-of-state students, including international students, our local in-state tuition rate. If you get what's called the Amigo Scholarship at the University of New Mexico, with the Amigo, you would pay the local in-state tuition rate. So as a graduate student, that could be an option for you if you don't get an assistantship, and I'll talk about assistantships a little bit later. But here's some information, just some stats and statistics about the rankings at the University of New Mexico. All of our programs are accredited at the regional level, which is how universities are accredited in the US, but also by program. We have programmatic accreditation, so ABET for engineering and AACSB for the School of Business. Many programs are ranked in the top 100. If that's important to you, you'll find lots of support for your studies as well as research. And if you want to engage in interdisciplinary research, that's also possible for you here at the University of Mexico. Many programs are available for you to do that. So this is just a small listing. As I mentioned, there are 75 master's and 37 doctoral degrees available at the University of New Mexico. These are the schools and colleges that make up the University of New Mexico. So those master's and doctoral programs are usually housed underneath one of these schools or colleges. So there's a School of Management, which is a School of Business, Architecture and Planning. Arts and Sciences is the largest school or college, I should say, at the university. That's where most of the physical, social sciences, as well as humanities are located. And then the College of Education, School of Engineering is quite popular with students from abroad, particularly from India. We have many students enrolled in the School of Engineering, and we have Fine Arts, Nursing, as well as Medical Program, Pharmacy College, and a School of Architecture. Here's some information about the honors and research activities at UNM. I'd recommend looking at that website, research.unm.edu. The research.unm.edu will show you information about the various research activities that are taking place in any given year. They publish an annual report that highlights all the different research that has taken place and the different grants and funding that has gone to those different areas. So here's just a quick snapshot of some of the research centers available at the University of New Mexico. You'll see that there have been 523 patents issued in the US to programs, to efforts out of the University of New Mexico. So we're quite proud of that, 523. Some of the fellows and scholarships that have been awarded to UNM students. And these are just some of the areas that are focused on research. So those centers there are essentially centers focused on those types of research. And there'll be a little bit about that in the next slide. So here's some information by the numbers. We're the only R1 research institution. That's a classification of an organization called the Carnegie Institute. It's only R1 in New Mexico and only one of 131 in the US. As shown earlier, the 7 centers and core laboratories for interdisciplinary research. You'll see that there are many professors and graduate students from various areas of the campus that are engaged in that research. So currently there are about 25 disciplines that are represented in these 7 centers and core labs. And there are partnerships with 119 other universities. So you won't just be working with students across the campus, you'll be working with students from other universities as well. So quite a lot of activity taking place. These are the core centers and labs that are available at the University of New Mexico. We also have an interdisciplinary science cooperative. The Interdisciplinary Science Cooperative essentially assists UNM students and faculty and researchers to engage in interdisciplinary work to connect with these different laboratories and centers that are working at the University of New Mexico. So if some of these are of interest to you, I will share maybe some web pages for you towards the end about how to access this information. I'll put them in the chat link where you can get more information about these centers and the Interdisciplinary Science Cooperative at the University of New Mexico. These are just a few of the actually officially by design interdisciplinary programs at the graduate level. Many programs are interdisciplinary just through their nature, but these ones are from the ground up built as interdisciplinary programs. So the Global and National Security Program, Nanoscience and Microsystems Engineering, Optical Science and Engineering, and Water Resources. There are many other programs that are interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary just by nature, like the Biomedical Engineering Program, Environmental Studies, those things, they cross disciplines, but these ones as degree granting programs were actually built to be interdisciplinary. And so these might be of interest to some students here. These ones touch different departments across campus. So the Global and National Security students take coursework in computer science as well as School of Business, and the Nanoscience and Microengineering is largely housed in engineering. And so they take some coursework outside of that as well. And then Water Resources touches many programs like economics, engineering, even I believe like history and some other areas as well. University of New Mexico, it's a large public research university. The campus life is very alive. It's a very thriving community. It's almost like a small city within the city. So you'll meet students here from over 100 different countries. There are 400 different student clubs and organizations. I think it's important for students to consider the campus culture whenever you're looking at where you want to spend the next few years of your life. You'll be living there. You'll be making friends from the community there. And so we'd encourage you to check out what's going on at the University of New Mexico in terms of the social activities, the social scene, what the cultural experience will be like, as well as the city of Albuquerque. That's a good website there, that abq2do.com, abqtodo.com. We'll give you information about happenings in and around the city of Albuquerque. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the University of New Mexico does offer assistantships to graduate students. Mostly at the PhD doctoral level, you will see some assistantships available for master's level students, but essentially in exchange for some type of work, you can get an assistantship that could cover partial or full tuition. A really generous assistantship will cover your full tuition as well as give you a stipend, a monthly living stipend, or cover your health insurance as well. So at the University of New Mexico, we have either a scholarship, which I mentioned earlier, which is called the Amigo Scholarship, that gives you the local in-state tuition, or you can get an assistantship through your department, which will be in exchange for doing something like teaching assistance, research assistantship, or a general project assistantship. So you'll want to remember that word assistantship as you're connecting with prospective universities in your application process and see what types of assistantship funds they may have available for you or scholarships. At the University of New Mexico, there's no separate application to be considered for any of these. All applicants for admission are reviewed for scholarship or assistantship by their department, by their program at the time that their application is reviewed. So you just fill out the application for admission and submit the required documents for that, and you will be reviewed for an assistantship or scholarship by your program. There are essentially three main requirements for an application to the University of New Mexico. Each department oversees and makes their own decisions for students. So there's an application for admission you complete online through our webpage. It's basically a data form, your name, address, information about what you want to study. And as a graduate student, you'll upload copies of your academic record into that, as well as a personal statement and information for references. They typically will ask for 2 to 3 references, many of the graduate departments. And then we ask you to submit standardized test results. As a graduate student, you may be required to submit copies of the GRE exam, as well as an English proficiency exam, which would be TOEFL, IELTS. We also accept the Duolingo English test, which is a little bit more accessible for a lot of students because you can take it from home. But those are essentially the 3 elements. Depending on your program, they may have some other requirements like a personal statement, a resume or CV. They may ask for that, but it's really going to depend on the department. But for the most part, it's an application for admission, copies of your academic records, and then results of a standardized exam. Here's some information about the costs for a student. The regular tuition that's listed at the top, that's what we call out-of-state tuition. That's the cost for 1 year for a graduate student, master's or PhD typical program, if you have no scholarship support at all. So that would be the cost for 1 year or 2 semesters. On the right, if you have the Amigo scholarship, it's reduced down to $9,000 per year. That's for 2 semesters. So with the Amigo scholarship, you would pay about $9,000. All the rest of those costs are essentially the same. Those are the estimated costs that we have to report to the US government for the total cost of 1 year for a student. So that includes your housing and meals, which is room and board, estimated costs for books and supplies, health insurance, all the estimated costs that would be associated with your studies at the University of New Mexico for 1 year. And as I mentioned earlier, with an assistantship, you could even pay reduced cost if your assistantship is generous. It might clear out the entire tuition. So then you would essentially have 0 cost there. But the assistantships vary by department. Some of them are generous, some of them are less generous. So it's really going to depend on what your department has in terms of funding available and what they're able to offer you. This is my contact information. I am housed in the Office of International Admissions at the University of New Mexico. This is my WhatsApp number here. And if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one chat with me, I found this to be very helpful, this Calendly link. So if you just type in that, maybe take a screenshot of this right now, and then what I'll do is I can share some information about the research. I'll share the research website in the chat, as well as the location of the graduate program. So I'll put the graduate programs link. On that link, you can see all the graduate programs that are available at the University of New Mexico and what the requirements are for admission for each of those programs. So you just click on each one and it'll pop up a page that'll show you what the deadline is, what the different requirements are, and a link to the website. So you can go to that website and see if they're engaged in the type of studies or research that you are interested in. And always happy to chat with students, always happy to meet with students. You can contact me through WhatsApp. If you contact me in the middle of your day, it'll be the middle of my night. So I may not answer right away, but I will answer later that day. And if you just want to schedule a chat, I meet with a lot of students through this Calendly link. You just click on there, choose a date and time in your own time zone, and then I'll send you a Zoom link and we can have a one-on-one discussion as well. So greatly appreciate everyone's time. And I think maybe we could turn it over now to a Q&A, and I'll put in my those links that I said earlier about the research and the graduate admissions requirements, which is an important page to see.
Thank you, Mr. Torres, for the wonderful presentations. There are a few things as I've noted from your presentations. University of New Mexico has 71 master's program and 37 doctoral program. That is wow, so many graduate programs. And I also noticed that both your engineering and business program have professional accreditation. So that is an additional advantage for students when they graduate. Their degree will be more carry more weightage. And I personally very much interested to know more about global and national security program, because this is the kind of program I first time I have seen in US University website. And also another important things that I have noted, that there are assistance possible from other departments too, which is very, very rare. So that is also an advantage to international students to look for assistance, not only from the department they are affiliated to, but from the other departments too. So with that, we will end the presentation part. Now we will start the question answer session. So let me just check my WhatsApp messages. I have already got one question. First, this question says, just let me, Professor Jared Professor Dworkshin and Mr. Torres, can you just switch on your camera while you answer the questions? So the first question is, what is the process of applying for scholarship for graduate programs?
So I can take that one for Northeastern. So in graduate programs, as I mentioned, for our PhD students, most of those programs are supported through the university. So that's an internal process, part of the application process. For other graduate programs, we recommend students reach out to the financial aid department at Northeastern to get information on scholarships, as well as we encourage students to look at external scholarshiping agencies who could provide them scholarships, as well as talk to each individual department that you're interested in working with or getting a degree from, or college, and they can give you information on specific scholarships that they help supply.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. I would just like to add, one point here. So all the scholarships at Northeastern for graduate admissions will be based on merits. So whenever students are placing an application, they will be automatically get assessed for the scholarship, and they will be notified in the decision letter in case if they will be eligible for the same. So you need to ensure that you're submitting a very good, application along with all the supporting documents in order to get eligible for the same. Thank you.
Dr. Dworkshin, want to add something?
Yes, I think it's important to distinguish between the different categories of funding. A lot of people applying for a position in the United States don't know the distinction between an assistantship and a scholarship. So again, we've mentioned it in the past hour, various of us have said so, but the idea of the scholarship in general, it would be something special that you could apply to from an external point of view. We have very few from our graduate school that are called academic excellence scholarships. And so the very top students applying for programs are able to get those. And meanwhile, the standard thing that would be available is the assistantship. Sorry, just saying. So just like was mentioned by the other people, the assistantship, you'll be eligible for it. You can also try to request it, but in general, you'll be automatically considered. And so that's why it's important to have your application as good as possible to include all the required elements, make your statement of interest very compelling and particular to the program to which you're applying. And then your application will stand out and you'll be selected for that type of funding, which can make it affordable for you.
Mr. Torres, would you add something?
Yeah, it's similar. Just for us, all of the assistantships are, and even scholarships are managed by the specific department that the student applies to. So the decision for admission is that rests with the department for graduate students. Even though I'm in the international admissions office, I don't make any decision on graduate level applicants. And when you think about it, it makes sense because I'm not an expert in the various departments. So there's no reason for me to be making an admission decision on a student who's applying to a PhD program. So that rests with the faculty of that department. And so they will also make the decision about offering funding and a scholarship as well. The scholarships are essentially merit-based, so you have to have a certain average grade to receive that scholarship, and then to get an assistantship from the department or a departmental scholarship, they'll review the students for that. There is an Office of Graduate Studies. It's a central office for assisting graduate students. They exist to help students connect with grants, like to participate in, for example, like a research experience, to attend a conference. And they also keep a database of different assistantships opportunities that are available across campus that are open to students from different departments. And so that's another area at the university where a student can seek that type of funding or support.
We have standard questions from an undergraduate applicant. He's asking, what is the admission process for undergraduate programs in engineering? I repeat the question, what is the admission process for undergraduate programs in engineering?
At the University of New Mexico, undergraduate applicants are reviewed by the office that I'm in, the Office of International Admissions. We do review and make admission offers to students for undergraduate programs. So to gain admission, a student would have to have the equivalent of a 2.5 GPA to gain admission to the university. That doesn't mean that they'll get any scholarships at that level. Scholarships will begin at the 3.0, and the highest scholarship is a 3.5. Now, that gives them general admission to the university to progress through the School of Engineering. Whenever they arrive, they will be connected with an academic advisor who will assist them with their first-year courses. And the student does need to successfully pass a series of first-year courses, heavily in math and engineering courses. And then they will be officially an engineering major in their chosen engineering discipline. So yeah, the admission, they just have to pass the university's admissions requirements to gain admission, but then they do have to successfully progress in that first year in the engineering cohort.
Clear. So Dr. Workshop, would you add something about undergraduate?
Yes, in the chat, I included a link for international students regarding undergraduate requirements. You can see that one, that website. So I would suggest you just check there and see the particulars. At our university, it's similar to what Dr. Torres mentioned about how our international student office called the ISSS is very involved in the undergraduate admissions for international students. And we have a variety of outstanding engineering programs, including one which just started about 4 years ago, biomedical engineering.
Yeah, and a similar process at Northeastern.
Our next question is, how does a student search if a particular department is involved in multidisciplinary research and has various collaborations?
So this is a great question. So I'll make a blanket statement. I would argue that almost all research that happens in modern times is interdisciplinary and collaborative. That is in fact the case for Northeastern. So our expectation across the university is that all research that faculty are doing is collaborative amongst other faculty at the university, other faculty at other universities, industry and others, as well as interdisciplinary. So you might go to the physics department and find somebody studying biomolecules and they need to engage with a biologist to do that. Or you might go to our bioengineering department and they're collaborating with industrial engineers to understand how to make the process better, right? So generally speaking, I work under the assumption that all of those things happening at Northeastern meet that criteria. So anybody that you search for us would meet that criteria.
Worksheets, you want to add?
I agree that as was mentioned, research is by nature multidisciplinary. However, what a lot of students are interested in is having on their transcript a particular name that includes multiple disciplines, or that is, let's say, a unique discipline. So just be creative in your searching for programs. Look through various keywords, and most universities now have their keywords set up very well. A number of the web pages will list all of the programs that they have available. And at our university, one of the things that we have is a graduate minor in statistics. So although you might be working in something as diverse as the field of education or social science or various other applied sciences or hard sciences or psychology, you can have this extra thing to put on your CV, which is this type of minor. And so you'll find that in another number of other universities that they have this opportunity for adding on this extra qualification. We have special topics in gender studies, for example, which could be combined with a wide variety of disciplines. We have a subject called Southern Studies, which could be interesting to those of you from Southern India. And then just look around for those types of creative programs that have been set up.
Mr. Torres, you want to add anything from your university?
I feel like it's been a little bit covered, but really just, students that are getting to the graduate level, they have a sense of what they want to study. So really spending some time with the program's web pages, looking at the faculty bios, they often are listed on the department website. So from there, you can see the different types of research that the faculty are engaged in, as well as graduate student bios. Oftentimes there are biographies for the graduate students as well. And so taking a look down some of what they're actually doing, and then doing some of your own research and pulling up information about the different publications that the people are published in. So I would recommend doing that. You're going to want to focus in on the department and look into what the different activities of the people there in that department are actually working on.
Thank you. Our next question is publication required when applying to doctoral program? So whether it is mandatory, you have to have publications for applying to doctoral program?
No, you do not have to have publications to apply to the doctoral programs. It doesn't hurt your application to have publications, but it's not a requirement of any of our programs.
Yeah, I think the point is, if you're going to the trouble, for example, of being part of this webinar today, you want to try to distinguish yourself from others so that you can, first of all, gain admission, but also, if possible, to have your education paid for and to have such a high quality degree that it will lead to your successful career. So from that point of view, not just any publication, but high quality publications in distinguished journals can help to distinguish you in the applicant pool. So, let's be serious. That's a very important aspect. There are a number of programs at our university, and I know that the other two universities mentioned have them as well, where you can sort of pay your way. Suppose you didn't really accomplish that much in your bachelor's degree or a master's degree, but you really still have a passion and are willing to invest your and your family's money. Well, that's an option as well. So never count yourself out. There's always a chance for everybody to succeed if you're willing to put your mind to it. And we're all available to provide you with an individual help and encouragement.
And I would agree with Dr. Claire as well, that it's not required for us, but yeah, it's helpful.
Before I read out the next question, so I will request others to write a question in the chat box in the Zoom platform, or you can write in the comment box in the Facebook platform. So our next question is, what are the requirements, scholarship and admission procedure for doing PhD in English? how and where to contact for the admissions. So someone asking what are the requirements for PhD in English, admission for PhD in English, and scholarship availability.
So I just put in the chat links to our PhD in English program at the University of Mississippi, as well as we have a new program which we just started recently called the PhD in English with creative writing concentration. So the standard field of English literature is basically, you could say, studying how people write. But we've had a very strong emphasis at our English department also in the field of actually doing the writing. We've had an outstanding and very competitive Master of Fine Arts in creative writing for many years. And so now we also have a PhD with creative writing concentration. So I'd be happy to, if you send me a message either through WhatsApp or another way, I can put you in touch with the graduate program coordinators who are eager to talk to you about the requirements.
That was a good idea, Dr. Dorkson. I put a link to.
Thank you. The next question is it's a very good question actually. Do I need to have faculty supporting me before I apply for a PhD program? So this question is to all of you.
There are different paths to get in. I'll just mention first of all, there are different paths, and even though we're talking about, you might think the PhD is just a generally a thing of interest. There are such a wide variety of PhD programs also that it takes some investigation. But the general approach is that if your application is so obviously high quality, then you can apply to most any program and gain an offer of admission. But the typical person like me, for example, it really helps to contact the individual professor and try to build a relationship with them. In other words, to interest them that you're more highly qualified than some of the other applicants. And partly your qualification can just be your specific interest in their research. So that's what I suggest. It's a combination of factors, but many programs, it's more like a mass stream of people. There are 100 applicants, they choose the best 20, and the individual connection doesn't matter that much.
Very good advice. Dr. Gatlas, want to add something?
Yeah, I'll just add a similar approach at Northeastern. It's also dependent on the department you're applying to. So for example, in some of our departments across the university, you apply to the department. If you're a high quality applicant, the faculty will reach out to you and talk to you. And then yeah, for some, not all, some of those departments, you'll need faculty support for admission. Basically, the faculty saying, yes, I want the student to come into my lab. We're trying to get away from that model, but for right now, that's where we're at.
There's no requirement to have a faculty connection. As I mentioned earlier, there are many paths into the programs, and so certainly we do see sometimes that there is a connection with the faculty member, and I think that can support the student's application, but I don't think it's as common as it might seem. Typically, it's just there's just a cohort of applicants, and then the department reviews those applicants and makes the offers.
So our next question is very important and contextual questions. Do students applying for doctoral programs, applying in humanities studies, also get sufficient funding? Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Perez.
Yes, we do see some students get a lot of funding, but we do see more students get more funding in the STEM program. So School of Engineering probably gives the best funding on our campus, but it's not uncommon to see students in other departments get really, excellent funding offers, but it's not across the board, I wouldn't say so.
What about Northeastern University of Mississippi?
Yes, same at Northeastern. I mean, we are trying to, the university herself is trying to facilitate PhD funding for all students across disciplines, but large, or generally speaking, engineering and science are the most robust at this point in time. But there are opportunities in the humanities, just like in sciences. It's just sometimes a little harder, but doable.
At the University of Mississippi, one of the programs that Dean Annette Cluck of the Graduate School and I have been involved in starting is an elite scholars program where there's a top up of funds of about 10,000 US dollars extra per year for 3 years for students from any discipline. So this is the type of program we're trying to do to help excite students who may be applying to English literature or to any other discipline across campus. In general, for the humanities, because it takes a certain length of time to develop original ideas that might lead to an original book in history, let's say, or English, then we usually have our students supported by a combination of teaching assistantships as well as eventually so-called graduate instructor position where the student is still doing their PhD, but actually teaching a whole undergraduate course. So that provides enough money to live on comfortably in Oxford, even if the funding is still a lot less than what's supplied by the School of Pharmacy, which is our top funded program.
Thank you. We are almost at the end of our session, but if you give 1 or 2 minutes more, we have 2 more questions. If you can give a quick response. The next question is, do professors, faculty from your university reply to students who reach out? How can I make my communication stand out? So these are really very good questions when communicating with the faculty.
So faculty are faculty. I'm faculty also, and yes, we try to respond to communications as quickly as we can. I would say that most faculty try to respond to all communications. I would say a few things about that. One, you have to be patient. Faculty in general get hundreds of emails, oftentimes an hour, especially if you're looking at, quote unquote, big names or famous faculty in your field. That's something to consider. If you want your email to stand out, I would say be concise and to the point, and make sure that it's well written and edited, right? I mean, honestly, if I get an email that's 3 paragraphs long, that goes to the bottom of my queue, and I might respond to that 5 days from now. If it's 5 sentences long, and I might respond more quickly.
And I'd recommend don't send an email out to everybody in one email. Like really send it to an individual. We'll see students send an email out to 20 people, and then what happens is that nobody will respond because everybody expects somebody else might answer it. So yeah, show that you really know who you're reaching out to.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. Sometimes I'll get an email, Dr. Dirksen, I'm really interested in your research group. Then I talk to some other people from my discipline, and they say, oh yeah, we got basically an identical email from the same person, just replacing your name with our name. So then we it deflates any enthusiasm we have for that person. So that's the thing, is if you're going to go to the trouble of writing to anybody, do some checking about them and then find out more. But each of our programs has a faculty member who's designated to be or possibly a staff person who's designated to be the graduate program coordinator. So they're used to dealing with students. They know how, they have some prepared answers to standard questions. And so just do look for a list of those and reach out to them, reach out to that person who's sort of invested in trying to help their graduate program to be successful.
Thank you. We have the last questions, and because our almost time is over, the last question: can student apply to doctoral degree? Are there PhD programs available in manufacturing? Do you offer full scholarship for the same? So this is a question to all 3 universities.
And what type of manufacturing?
The
There's lots of
PhD
different types of manufacturing.
PhD in manufacturing.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different types of manufacturing. I mean, Northeastern has programs that'll you could enter. So for example, you could enter the engineering department at the engineering college at Northeastern, and engage with the bioengineering department and work with the faculty who focus on biomanufacturing and get a PhD in that space, right? So yes, those things are available. Those things are available in other manufacturing also. So it's a broad question. It's not like we have a department of manufacturing though.
At the university, unfortunately, University of New Mexico, we don't have a doctoral program in manufacturing engineering.
Yes, that's one of the nice answers we can give sometimes. Yes, the University of Mississippi also does not have that program. We actually have sorry, I was just going to mention, we actually have a Center of Manufacturing Excellence, but it's focused currently only on undergraduate education. It's sponsored by Toyota.
Thank you for answering all the questions. We are almost, our time is over. Thank you very much for joining Dr. Directions, Dr. Claire, Mr. Torres, and thank you all students for joining our session. Thank you my colleagues, Unnati, Manmohan, and I'm forgetting the other names. So 3 of my colleagues are actually supporting from the behind the scene actually. Thank you all, and thank you for joining today's sessions. It was a wonderful session. And if students, if you have further questions, please feel free to contact the respective universities and write to them, and you have their contact information on the chat box. Actually. Thank you very much. Good night from India.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sudarshan.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.